Hello and welcome to the St. James Eastern Orthodox Christian Church. Today's homily is by Father Timothy Barkley as recorded on January 19th, 2025.
Today's Gospel reading is Luke 17:12 through 19. At that time, as Jesus entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers who stood at a distance and lifted up their voices and said, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice, and he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. Now he was a Samaritan. Then said Jesus, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" And he said to him, "Rise and go your way. Your faith has healed you." Lepers were a class of outcasts. Under the Mosaic law they were unclean, and anything and anyone they touched was likewise unclean. They lived together in squalid leper villages and were shunned by polite society. They were those people. 10 of those people were evidently tracking Jesus' movements as he was passing through Gentile and Samaritan territory on his way to Jerusalem, where he would face his passion and death. When he came near them, they cried out to him for mercy. The form of address is interesting. They didn't call him Kyrios or Lord, nor did they call him Rabbi or Teacher. They didn't call him Son of David or the Messiah. Instead, they called him Master, a Greek word that roughly translates to deputy, one who was appointed by another, presumably higher authority. This brings to mind the healing of the centurion's servant. When the centurion called on Jesus to heal his servant, he similarly addressed Jesus. "I, too, am a man under authority, and therefore I can exercise power. So you, too, Jesus, as one under authority, can exercise power." This sounds almost heretical, but it's entirely consistent with Jesus' public ministry and his teachings. He only did what he saw his Father doing, and he only said what he heard his Father saying. Remember, it was Satan who tempted Jesus to act unilaterally. This is also consistent with what has been revealed to us of the nature of the Trinity. The Father is the source of all life, the begetter of the Son, and the one from whom the Spirit proceeds. Yet when the Son was begotten, if we can use the word when and was, to describe an event outside and without reference to and transcending time and all of the created order, such that when and was are misleading, to describe an event that really isn't an event in the way we speak of events, knowing that there never was a time, except that we really can't refer to time, because it is an element of the created order, and the fullness of the divine life of the Trinity transcends, and much more than transcends, because the life of the Trinity is without reference to the created order. There never was a time in which the Son was not begotten. The Father, in loving kenosis, poured out in that begetting all that he had and all that he was that was not inherent in the personhood of the Father, imbuing the Son with all that inheres in the divine nature. Then the Son in his incarnation likewise poured himself out in mercy to confer life on those suffering from the effects of death and its fatal sting, sin. Thus, when the lepers addressed him in these terms, Jesus' immediate response was to show them the mercy they desired. He told them to go and show themselves to the priests in accord with the law. It was the priest who decided whether a leper was cleansed or still a leper. It was only as they went that they were cleansed or made clean. Contemplate the audacity of Jesus' mercy. They were told to go before they were cleansed. Why would they go to show themselves to the priests if they still had leprosy? They each could see their own leprosy, and they could see the leprosy on the bodies of the other 9 lepers. Why go when nothing has changed? But everything had changed. They just couldn't see the change. The mercy of God had been extended, but they had to activate it by obedience. Only when they went were they cleansed. When they obeyed, they were healed. And one and only one, when he saw that he was cleansed of his leprosy, raced to Jesus, threw himself at the feet of his benefactor in worship, and gave him thanks. only one. 10 unclean, hopeless, helpless outcasts were restored to cleanliness and now had hope and a future, and only one expressed his gratitude, and only this one worshipped and gave praise to God in his falling at the feet of and thanking Jesus. And to this one alone Jesus proclaimed, "Your faith has healed you." Some translations render this, "Your faith has made you well." Notice that the leper was already cleansed. He no longer had leprosy, but by his faith-filled thanksgiving, think Eucharist, worship and praise, think doxa, as in doxology, to God, he was healed or made well, and this one is commended for his faith. So healing here is different from cleansing of the infirmities of our createdness and is superior to it. The Greek word translated here as healed or made well is a form of the verb sozo, usually translated saved. His thanksgiving-imbued, God-praising faith saved him. His Eucharistic doxological life was his salvation. As we know, we are saved by grace through faith, the engagement of all of our being, body, soul, and spirit, with the outpouring of God's uncreate energy that we call grace and even mercy. All 10 were cleansed, but only one was saved by his faith that impelled him to fall at the feet of Jesus in worship and gratitude-filled praise to the one who is fully God. Without the worship and praise, without the thanks, we might be fully obedient servants and cleansed from the effects of sin and death, but we are not filled with the divine life and saved. We are saved when we are Eucharistic orthodoxos, those who give thanks and practice right doxos, right worship according to the revelation once for all delivered to the saints. It is our gratitude-filled worship that saves us. The 10 lepers were all cleansed from what was considered a death-dealing life sentence, but all 10 of them later died. In fact, everyone healed by Jesus later died, and every person he raised from the dead died again. We all end life in a box. We all end life in a box. But the joy of theosis is that when this time-delimited human life ends, our souls rise from our bodies to enjoy the immediate, unmediated, nothing in between Trinitarian life. Now we see through a looking glass, then we shall see face to face. And the degree to which we have entered into the divine life in this life, called theosis, is the degree to which we enter into the divine life in the next life. Our faith saves us when it consists in gratitude-filled right worship of God in Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. This is the faith that saves us. This is the faith that saves the world. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to today's homily by Father Timothy Barkley. Come worship with us at 30 York Street in Taneytown, Maryland on Sundays at 10 a.m. You may also contact us via www.stjamesorthodoxchurch.org.